There is a quote attributed to the Chinese philosopher Confucius that says, "To know what you know and what you do not know is true knowledge." Head coaches Mike Rhodes of VCU and Chris Mooney of Richmond have both issued public statements this past week about the events that have gone on here in Richmond and across the country. But as basketball coaches, they have a unique perspective on the attitudes and concerns of the African-American young men on their rosters. We sat down with each of them to get their thoughts on relationships and change.
The most important thing of all this for me was that I wanted our guys to know that I'm listening, that they haven't been heard enough, that I'm listening and that I'm here for them, and that we gotta help make changes, and we gotta lead from the front. It's tough to make changes from the back or from being quiet.
You know, having seen a few of these responses over the years, this one feels deeper, and I think the guys have felt it deeper.
Is apply pressure on our leaders to make changes, and if they're not going to make changes to help everybody move forward, then we got to find the leaders that will do that.
You are there to set an example. You're there to teach. You're there to mold. But how much more of your job, maybe, in the last couple weeks, has been more about listening to what your players are telling you?
I think everything, 100% of it is listening, because our guys haven't been heard. Black people in our country haven't been heard, and then when we do listen, we all go away too soon, and that we all know that's the truth. That we can't do that anymore.
You know, our African American players have had a different experience in their lives than I have, and it's important for me to understand. It's important for me to understand all of our players and their different experiences that have led them to this point. But it's extremely important to understand what our African Americans, how they see this, how they react to this, how they feel about this. When asked to protest peacefully, that their answer, and understandably, maybe everyone's answers, why? Because of a lack of hope, because that's been asked before, and they don't see the progress or feel the progress.
You can represent yourself in a protest that impacts people and puts pressure on the leaders without breaking the law, without getting hurt or getting in trouble. And if our guys want to do that, I'm going to be arm in arm with them.
You know, some of our black players feel like they have to be perfect because what might be held against them, you know, if it's a way that they talk or express themselves, and that's again, that's not a feeling anybody should have to feel or have to deal with.
But now with a social issue like this and the inequalities that we see against black people, as a white head coach, I got to step up. And I've always felt I've protected and looked after our guys, but I got to do more. And I can do that by continuing to love my players and mentor them and build that trust even more, but also show them arm in arm that I'm here with you, because I'm not in their shoes. I'm not in their shoes, but I can walk in their shoes with them to help them.
It's important for players to know that you have their best interests at heart at all times. And when you demonstrate that to them, and there are older guys who can also vouch that you have their best interests at heart, then I think you can have a really great relationship.
Outside of the players who are Richmond natives, most of the players on both teams are home preparing for their eventual return to campus. Rhodes and Mooney are in almost daily contact with each of them and report every player is eager to get back to Richmond to get started on a new season. If you would like to nominate someone to be profiled, email us at beyondtheroster@WTVR.com.